Hey y'all, welcome to the Esoteric Empire. We are here for another food for thought. I was going to do the whole little intro thing, but honestly, this is probably going to be a very deep food for thought, very personal. So I have an idea of where I wanted to go, but I'm not really sure where it's going to go. So we're just going to go for it, and I'm just going to do this monologue because you guys know I love a monologue. And basically relay the message that I received from doing a very intense self-analyzation that also included the heart chakra. So I'm just gonna start. So growing up, I've always been very self-aware. I've always understood like who I am within myself, and I've also just understood that there's like a soul behind the persona or the ego that I am, as a person. So I always knew that obviously I'm a Taylor, but I always also knew that I was connected to Source. I always felt that. My whole life I felt that. And I also felt that there was something deeper to me, aka my soul. I've always felt that. And a lot of things have happened recently in my life. Just life happens. And I'm currently at the stage where I'm able to identify and examine and analyze why things have happened, not for the sake of healing from it. I feel like I've healed from a lot of things, but more so now to recover. So I've been recovering. My soul has definitely been recovering. And trust me, it's an everyday battle, okay? But it's worth it. And I love deep healing. I think it's beautiful. I think it's magical. And I think it's necessary. So, as I stated, I did a meditation dealing with the heart chakra. And I always write whenever I meditate as well. So I can go and reread, what I put and things like that. And something told me to question myself, question my beliefs, question the way my life is, good and bad, question where things shifted for me. Because a constant thing that I was noticing within my meditation and things I was writing is that I feel like my sense of self, my identity over the years has become more and more harder to find or to pinpoint, which makes me very uncomfortable as a person because that's not how I used to be. And somewhere along the way, some would say I lost myself, which I feel like I was just evolving. I don't think I literally lost myself, but aspects of myself that made me definitely was lost throughout the process of life. So I'm grateful that I'm at the point now where I'm able to realize that, and I'm doing the work to fix that, to find myself again, to reunite with my soul again, as dramatic as that sounds, but it's true. That's really what it is. And I've come to realize, thinking about my childhood and thinking about how I was as a child, because I am and was very self-aware. So I have a very clear memory of thoughts that I used to have as a child, things I used to do, of course, and just me, like how I used to think. I remember my thoughts that I've had before. Like I remember, dreams that I used to have as a child and all sorts of things like that. And one of the things I remembered, or I was told, but also I remember, is that I had a light about me, and I was very bold. I was very founded in who I was as a person. I wasn't very shy. I think I was a people person. I loved people, and I was a very happy child, extremely happy, very creative as well. And that's also something that I felt like has been leaving me, and something I want to get back into is being creative. And artistic and just all these things that I feel like just kind of went with the wind. I was also very, very comfortable with being by myself as well. So I loved people, but I also felt very safe by myself. And I loved to be by myself because I could read and I could learn new things and I can ponder my thoughts. And, I was very comfortable as a child being alone. And I was an only child, or at least from my mom's children. I was an only child up until I was about 5 years old, I believe. So that's not that long, but for some people it is. And I was very comfortable, but I also did not have a hard time making friends, and I loved learning about people and culture. I'm just giving you a picture of how I was as a child. And over the years, based off of different circumstances, whether it was people at school, trauma that happened within my childhood eventually, and then also just caring about what other people thought, how other people viewed me as I got older, and eventually more trauma within, my life that happened as well. Somehow I created this bubble. I wouldn't even call it a bubble. I would say a wall of fear. And I realized it started when I was young. It actually started very early when I really pinpointed it. School. I used to be very outgoing. I would sing, I would dance. I was very popular, growing up. Well, at least when I was younger growing up. And somewhere along the way, I became kind of scared. From what I can process, because I'm also processing all of this as I'm speaking, because I wanted to document this for myself and for whoever else can, benefit from it. I became scared of feeling vulnerable. I remember feeling like if I'm by myself, I know what to expect. I'm not going to hurt myself, that type of thing. But if I'm around other people, I just felt like sometimes people were just mean. Like I just started to see that some people are really just mean. And as silly as that sounds, because I was such a loving child, and I was surrounded by love, growing up for the most part, dealing with people seeing you happy and just wanting to shut it down because they see you happy, that really scared me. That was my first understanding of being afraid, I think, and realizing that if I'm alone or if I isolate myself, I don't have to worry about that. So that's where that cycle began. And moving forward, more things happened as I grew up, and I learned that same understanding that people are mean, some people are mean. I learned that some people look nice but are really like bad people or they'll do bad things to you but they'll smile, so that freaked me out even more. And that told me like even sometimes the good people you think are good, like they're not really good. And that was very scary to me because I feel like I was always transparent. I was very honest and pure in my happiness. And when I was showing, being generous to other people or being loving, like I meant it. And when I realized that some people can look like that but not really mean it, that freaked me out. Basically a wolf in sheep's clothing type of thing. And so that pushed me further back from people. But not just that, it also took away my creativity. It took away my light. It took away my optimism. It took away my spunk. And I replaced that with anger and fear and attitude. And all of that happened because I was operating out of fear, the frequency of fear. And the reason why my creativity and my light and all of that dwindled with that event of feeling scared and I couldn't trust people and things like that, it went away because I was not operating in my normal frequency and my natural frequency, which is love. I love love. And for so long, it took me to really understand that. Like, I'm still understanding how much I love love in all forms. I love seeing people in love. I love being around people where you can laugh and eat and joke and see people smile. I love falling in love. I love knowing that someone loves me, and I love hearing people's perspective of love. Like, I just love love. And for some reason, I thought that was wrong, because I think I was starting to see that a lot of people don't operate in that frequency. And not to say you should be naive, but you know, if that's your frequency, that's your frequency. You should always operate as who you truly are. And I stopped doing that. And that's when things started to get really dark for me. And that's when I started to see the world as a very dark place. And everything just seemed very gloomy and scary. And, you know. So, fast forwarding, once I became an adult, I believe I still had my light by the time I became an adult. But my creativity, it was there, but it wasn't really, I wasn't using it. I was underutilizing it, and I was distracting myself from my purpose, I would say. And I was also attracting very beautiful souls, but very complex souls and conflicted souls. So during this time period when I became an adult, I was still operating in somewhat love, but mostly fear. And in the midst of doing that, I think what happened was I started to still wanted to be isolated, but I still wanted some sort of protection, if that makes sense. And sometimes people do that with people. They could do it with activities. Maybe they do it with a job. Maybe they do it with substances, you know, whatever. It just depends on who you are as a person. And what I'm realizing is the one way to be able to operate in love in all aspects of the form, strength, courage, bold, being yourself, you know, unapologetically you, the way to do that is to surround yourself with the people that don't attack you. And when I say attack, I want to be very clear. It can be attack in any form, whether they attack you physically, emotionally, sexually, you know, even if it's someone who attacks your decisions, you know, they attack your self-confidence or your self-esteem or, you know, whatever. Any form of attacking in that way. That's the key to being able to feel free. You can't surround yourself with people that attack you. And I think what happens is a lot of us over time, it becomes normal. Because sometimes these people that attack you could be family members, you know? You could have a emotionally abusive parent or something. I don't know. You know, it could be anybody. And it could be someone who's closest to you. I think one of the things that I'm learning is that the power that we have as people is to figure out who's attacking you. Especially if you're like, you don't know how to trust and all that stuff. Just look and see who makes you feel bad. Who does things to you that you wouldn't do to them, or who does things to you that you wouldn't do to another person. Even if they do good things for you, but pay attention to when they attack you, or if, because I truly believe people that love you truly, they don't attack you. You can have disagreements, or you can have differences of opinions, and, you know, but they won't make you feel small. There's a very big difference between, you know, constructive criticism or holding you accountable, things like that, and then someone making you feel small. It's a very big difference. As soon as you get away from that type of energy, or distance yourself, or block yourself from being able to be, you know, open to that, that's when you realize that being vulnerable to people that do care and that do love you pushes you to vibrate on the frequency of love and strength. And so you won't operate in fear, because you think that you're fearing the world, but you're really fearing the people in your world, or the circumstances in your world, right? So when you get away from that, you actually get to be in the frequency of love, because that's the opposite of fear. And we talked about this in one of my other food for thoughts. So I hope that's making sense. Like, it's a very simple concept, but I really think because how life works, we just, like, so many things happen, memories and events and just life changes and people and interactions and distractions. And so then we kind of, everything becomes complicated, and it's really not. Look at the people around you right now. Who attacks you? And I know that sounds kind of like a harsh word, but yeah, that's the word I'm going to use. Who attacks you? Distance yourself from those people so that you're able to truly be vulnerable, so that you can be yourself. And that's when the strength, the love, the conquering and achievements and the flow of life is very simple and clear. Because you're operating with the world and with the universe, I would say, instead of against it. So you're not, swimming against the tides. So you can get your light back, and creativity and abundance and prosperity, all those things that love promises, love feels like. So, yeah, that's all I have to say for now. If you enjoyed this video, or this, I guess, podcast, if you enjoyed listening, I do have a playlist called Food for Thought, where we talk about basically just anything, where I talk about anything that's on my mind, any message that I need to relay, or any revelation, or as I like to say, re-elevation of self that I come across. And this is, a very intimate side of myself, and I appreciate you for listening, and I welcome you to listen to more. I welcome you to comment your thoughts, your opinions, suggestions on things that I should talk about, and just thank you for being on this frequency, even if you're not going to stay, in my soul group or whatever. If you resonated to this video, I appreciate you for being on this frequency with me right now. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.